It's always one more. That's why there's padlocks on the front door. That's why the window blinds don't ever shine lighting. The bad side of life seems so inviting. So I'm unsure if I'm unsure. I'm just a big shadows coming up short. I'm just a little boy trapped in a grown man's body. Only time I ever want is when I know I ain't got it. So give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that, give me that, give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that piece. You know it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Need a little something more. 5, 6, 7, 8. All that other shit can wait. 9, 10, 11, 12. Why'd I do this to myself? I need some beats right now. I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4. Need a little something more. 5, 6, 7, 8. All that other shit can wait. 9, 10, 11, 12. Why'd I do this to myself? I need some beats right now. I'm trying to make mine. The time is on my side, and that's a great sign. Going with the flow, I never swam a straight line. My ocean at the moment's only feeling waist high. So maybe I can stay afloat and take a stage dive in the deep part of it. I don't have to say why, God don't even bother me. Hit you with the face palm. If you keep hollering, I'll pop you, then it's over. Make you Leviosa on some Harry Potter shit. Yeah, I will not admit, yeah, I'm dishonest with, yeah, my own consciousness. I kinda miss the obvious, yeah, plus I got a bitch, yeah, but I know life's a bitch. I guess that makes me polyamorous. That's probably cause I have nots, always want more. That's why there's padlocks on the front door. That's why the window blinds don't ever shine lighting. The bad side of life seems so inviting. So I'm unsure if I'm unsure. I'm just a big shadows coming up short. I'm just a little boy trapped in a grown man's body. Only time I ever want is when I know I ain't got it. So give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that, give me that, give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that piece. Give me that piece. You know it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Need a little something more. 5, 6, 7, 8. All that other shit can wait. 9, 10, 11, 12. Why'd I do this to myself? I need some beats right now. I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4. Need a little something more. 5, 6, 7, 8. All that other shit can wait. 9, 10, 11, 12. Why'd I do this to myself? I need some beats right now. Give me that.
What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another live stream. If you are new, my name is Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Going to be checking out ES today along with YM, which looks like it's getting ready to set up. But first, make sure you read what's on the screen. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. I'm just an idiot here yapping on YouTube for entertainment purposes only. Make your own decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, in funded accounts, as well as the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from the links in my content. Talk to you guys about YM coming up right here, right now. Stream looks good. Looks good. Bookmap rolling up the side. Yeah, we got YM setting up right now for an aggressive long play. So, you've been watching me take these trades. Right off the open. I'm going to have to go back and explain this one if I go ahead and jump in. I'm going to wait for a sweep a little bit further below this low over here, but we are testing the zone that I have marked out for this morning, and I'm going to look at this as a really aggressive long for the mean reversion play back to VWAP. I'm going to give this a second just to open up in case we really wick lower. Maybe give me a little bit better of a spot to get in. But I'm looking at this long. I think we could definitely come down to this level here. Looking at this long back to VWAP. Very, very simple. Leveraging volatility off of the open. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be it. That's going to be the test. About 30 seconds to NYSE open. I'm probably going to jump directly into a trade here with you guys. I'm just trying to eyeball how far I can really let this thing come. Yeah, about an 80 point stop loss at the most to come back towards VWAP. And let's see if we just crack below this low, and I'll look to jump in. Again, very aggressive. Stop can get run on this thing. Ooh, that's super, super aggressive. Ooh, I don't want 12. Yeah, I'm going to wait on this one, guys, at least for right now. This is the setup. Right here, right now, we got a sweep below, but that is a gnarly crack down below. We filled some liquidity on Bookmap. I do think this thing is likely to bounce, but that is just really aggressive to jump right in front of. We started to bounce there. I'm just going to wait to see what happens right around the 550 level that we come back down to test. It's getting ready to hop in at that zone. I'm glad I hung out at least for a second. I still think we're going to bounce, but I'm going to give that thing a second to breathe. We got all the indices selling off a bit. Yeah, that's really aggressive. So yeah, I'm gonna wait on this. I didn't want to jump right in at the open long on this thing for this reason. I just wanted to wait and see if we had some more volatility that was gonna kick right in, and we were indeed gonna blow past this zone. That would have been a stop out from the middle of the zone for sure. So there's an opportunity to take it really, really, really aggressively long from down here. This could certainly be another zone right here, right now, off of these tops and bottoms, these area of consolidation. You know, although it's been sliced through quite a bit, the bottom of this candle here, you know, before a big impulsive move to the upside, that's probably what I'd be looking at for the next zone area of high volume. I don't think I'm going to step in front of this one though, guys. I think I'm just going to let this play out. I'll have to watch and see. This was the initial trade setup. Again, if we're smashing down into it right at the open, 930, I probably want to just give it a second to see what happens here. And if we're going to start to reject and pull back up towards VWAP, that giving it a split second saved me a stop out there. Just really, really aggressive selling pressure coming through liquidity that was at 44,600. This is a secondary zone that I'm cherry picking now on my chart, right? I'm marking off of the bottom of this low here, looking at the 5-minute, the 15-minute, you know, another area of high volume that we came down into, but this isn't the initial setup. So first one's, you know, invalidated, didn't have to realize a loss on it. Secondary play, I don't know that I'm comfortable taking it. You know, gun to my head, yes, I'm long back to VWAP on this. That's just the way that, you know, I see Dow moving. But I'm going to hang out on this, and I think I'm going to hop right over to ES, which I'm looking to pay much more attention to coming into this week. If you're in the Discord, if you saw me on Top Step TV on Friday, you know that I'm paying attention to my good friend ES. Yeah, I mean, you got a way to do it on this. You know, you got a way to take this really aggressive, you know, VWAP reversion trade, whatever we're going to call this. On Dow back to VWAP in a nice positive way. Well, you know, we're missing it right here, but, you know, maybe you get an entry, something like that. Just try to leverage this volatility that even if we are going to move lower, we're likely to pull back. But this is very counter to what's going on right now. Aggressively selling at the open. You know, we are trending down. If I kind of zoom out on this 5-minute, 15-minute, very choppy overall. If I really zoom out on the 15-minute, so I don't mind it, but I'm not going to step in front of it. Long way that I keep repeating. I'm not going to jump into this long. I think we're going to head back to VWAP. Maybe we come down and test this low one more time. Stop loss down below here somewhere, taking a long back towards VWAP. We'll see how that plays out right now. But let's jump back over to ES. It's the MES chart that I'm actually looking at. I'll talk a little bit about ES that I'm watching coming into this week, that I'm trading coming into this week. Spent quite a bit of time on ES futures myself, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to jump back on ES. I do zoom in a bit more, but I'll talk a little bit about my chart markup. A couple additional things I have on ES, really, because I like to zoom into the 1 minute. I like to zoom into the 1 minute when I'm trading ES. It just moves a whole lot slower. The setups that I can find are a little bit more zoomed in, capturing smaller pieces of the move. But what I like to run on ES, so same levels as far as overnight high and low, prior day high and low that I run on NQ. discretionary levels above and below price, if they're important. Right here, right now, I don't have anything on my chart. I'd probably be marking something off of this low, which we can do with a nice little rectangle. Off of the Friday, yeah, is that Friday? Friday's low, or a low from Friday. But along with that, there's a couple of the things I put on this chart. 2 anchored VWAPs to start the day, and then potentially I add or remove from there. One is prior day's NYSE session anchored VWAP. So this purple one right here, could change up colors, whatever, is going to go to 9:30 a.m., going to get anchored to 9:30 a.m. from the prior day. The second anchored VWAP is going to start at the 9:30 open. Those two, again, just providing a little bit more reference. When you're really zoomed in on the 1 minute, it's not that these tools are going to do anything magical for you, but maybe they give you a little bit more reference on kind of where you are from higher time frame structure, where you are, and what's going on from, you know, a volume weighted average price starting at NYSE session prior day, along with the session VWAP, right? A little bit slower moving one, and then the session VWAP. Anchored VWAP off the open can just be helpful, kind of taking trades quickly off the open, which I don't mind doing. And outside of that, of course, you know I talk about the initial balance. I still use the initial balance on ES, but I also use the 15-minute opening range. If you are familiar with Austin Silver's team, ASFX's stuff, it's very, very, very similar chart setup. Each one of their guys seems to custom tailor anchored VWAPs and levels and some different things. A lot of them just trade on regular trading hours, so some differences there. But you'll also see it across other traders' charts, right? The 15-minute orb, very, very common thing to look at. Prior day high and low, overnight high and low. Like, these are the most common levels. These aren't, you know, proprietary special things made up by me. You know, it's the common stuff that seems to work really well. You know, that's... I don't have to reinvent the wheel or claim to have some magical, crazy approach that nobody's ever heard of before, and it's something that you've never seen. The common stuff that seems to work is good by me. So looking at ES, while we're doing this. What's up, guys? Thanks for hopping on. Good morning. Good morning. Damn, what happened to NQ? Big Red Candle. Morning, NQ. Trading NQ periodically depending on the day. Probably going to be staring at YM off the open like I just was. We'll go back to see if we came back to VWAP on YM. And then moving over to ES. I'm really going to be taking myself off of NQ quite a bit. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we're going to check this out. This is not going to be set yet, but that's what I'm going to use for 15-minute opening range high and low. Once we start to set that, it's 9:38 a.m. Eastern. We need 15 minutes to pass before we get the 15-minute opening range. And again, I typically look at a 1-minute chart because I'm just going to be more zoomed in, slower moving instrument. I'm able to find these higher frequency of trades, capitalizing on smaller movements on ES. And yeah, you know, it's nice to do. NQ has been fun. Again, I spent a lot of time on NQ as NAS 100 in CFDs before coming over to futures. And ES, not until I hopped over to futures, probably the most time on Dow as US 30 as the CFD. But I really enjoyed getting comfortable on ES. It's really what I focused on once I got serious coming over to futures and kind of needed to restructure risk. The real reason was that we didn't have the flexibility to trade micros. Back when I was trading with Top Step, it was only it was equal micros to minis, 5 micros to 5 minis, and the micros were just, I think that was the rule, right? 5 micros to minis. Yeah, that was right. And I wanted to either trade, I wanted to trade a mini, and essentially on NQ was just way too heavy. It was way too heavy to be trading an NQ mini. So anyway, that was the first reason for coming over to ES. Stayed there, got comfortable. And, you know, here we are kind of coming back to ES, slowing it down a little bit. That's the game plan. Got to do what's best for your data, right? You know, if your data shows that on gold, for example, or platinum or, you know, crude oil, some other instrument that you do really well, you got to ask yourself, why am I not trading this instrument? Do I feel like I'm missing out on some volatility from NQ or something else? Is it just what everybody else is trading that I'm trying to, you know, piggyback off of? You know, kind of why are you doing what you're doing? You know, what provides you the best edge, the best expectancy? You know, what are you most comfortable working with? You know, try to lean into that. That's kind of the thought process on picking your weapons of choice. So we're going to watch to see how this sets up. Higher time frame, looking at ES, which I really didn't jump into. I hopped right onto to YM. We'll see how that played. Higher time frame on ES, we are in an interesting spot, right? We are kind of banging against these higher time frame highs. We were really choppy back and forth. We know about these big Monday sell-offs and then recoveries, big Monday sell-off and then recovery. This was pretty dang choppy and back and forth. I think we could certainly be in for a sell-off at any point this week, if not today. If we are going to try these highs, right? A lot of times before we move higher, we move lower first. This looks like an area of high volume, these highs that we wanted to come back to and kind of rebalance. We start to come through, let's say, the 125s, near these lows, the 120s. I think we got room to move down to the 80s on ES. Conversely, we start breaking the highs. I think we could make a run for it, right? I think we could be in for a push to the upside. But again, a lot of times before we do that, we love to come down and take everybody out that's trying to get long right here, right now, today. So I'm pretty unbiased on ES, especially really, really zoomed in. I don't think it's super helpful to form a really, really strong bias when I'm trading the 1 minute chart. So I'm even more flexible just on intraday price action and structure. But you guys will see how that plays out for me. So tested overnight low to the tick. Super, super respectful coming right back up off of that. Not a whole lot. We're talking bounced like 5 points off the low. Let's see where we go from here. Broke below, opened up above VWAP, right? Above prior day session VWAP as well. Broke back into prior day's high, right? We're opening really, really high on a bullish candle on the daily. If we take a look at that. And we kind of turned and sold back off, right? We're pushing back down, coming back into the middle of that daily candle range, right? Here's our daily candle low, prior day high. Let's see if we turn and burn and start to continue some of that move from the overnight session, the pre-market session, or if we are going to sell off today. If we are going to sell off. Reset the chart. Here on ES, I will get involved quickly. Today, a couple minutes to 15-minute opening range. That's the safest, the safest call is to just wait for that 15-minute opening range to set. Give me a little bit more structure, a little bit more consistency to work within that range. But I'm going to mark all these guys for you so you can see what I'm looking at. 15-minute opening range high. And this is actually going to be completely overlapping the overnight low that I got marked here. But we'll mark it anyway. Just in case we push lower. These aren't set yet, right? We need the first 15 minutes of the opening range to actually set before we get that. But we'll see how this starts to play for us. Yeah, so opening up to the downside. Cracking below, back below this this VWAP, prior session VWAP, coming back into prior day's high. Sellers looking like we want to try to take this thing lower. I think we can definitely bounce from down here. I don't know that I would want to be so aggressively long. Maybe around prior day's low. This area of consolidation that we've seen somewhere down around here. I could look long for a play back towards VWAP. Would look for something like that. But I'm going to give this another minute, and we'll see if we can get a play off of the 15-minute opening range. I traded a couple different ways. I don't just take like the breakout, like the orb strategy where you just buy above 15-minute opening range, sell below. Maybe you wait for a candle closure or something like that. I'm not as straightforward with it as something like that. Don't find that works too well day over day. Ooh, there's some aggressive sellers stepping in. So again, we're still setting the 15-minute opening range low since we're coming up on this 945 candle. This candle is going to be it, actually, it looks like. Let's see how we close on this and if we do head towards prior day low. Good morning, good morning. Hoping to break the previous daily high. Yeah. Could see that. What's up, guys? What's up? It's the real deal. Yeah, man. Wins, losses, break evens. everything in between. Checking out Bookmap that I have running on the side. Yeah, I don't have a setup forming right off the bat. It's not really a call just to take it long directly off of the 15-minute opening range low. If we're setting the 15-minute opening range low and we're below all these VWAPs, I think a bounce right back up to this area of high volume. Again, I'm super zoomed in on the 1 minute here. Could be a quick play, but I'm not going to take that just yet. Dow, let's look. We were watching the 5 minute. Yeah, smashed into this zone. Cracked to the upside. Didn't reach VWAP. Didn't reach the area that I'd be targeting for a long back towards. But this looks like we're going to go and try to grab that right now. Again, I like Dow for a really, really simple reversion back to VWAP play off of discretionary levels. This was the area I was watching. Kept myself out of a gnarly stop run, which is part of taking these plays. Just waiting for the market to open up. And this was a secondary zone that I started to mark up, really cherry picking it right as this was forming. So it's not like a level I'm watching to say, hey, jump in and that's a good trade. But if you were brazen enough to take that thing as it was selling off long back to VWAP from somewhere down here, structure a decent trade off of that. But I'm going to keep my eyes on ES this morning. Let's see what we start to see here. Yeah, looking, sorry for making you guys dizzy. Looking at this, I could see a long play. I think it would be pretty tough to step in front of this right now, though. If anything, short as we're continuing lower, first back towards prior day low, or these lows from the 14th from Friday. I want to see what happens if we come down to prior day's low. If we start to reject, we start to form some 1 minute price action that looks like we're going to push to the upside. Maybe. Overall, I'm pretty long bias on this. Unless we start to come through this really aggressively, like I said, I think we can come all the way down to the 80s, right? This area, of consolidation before we break out and move higher, potentially try to run all-time highs, a pullback to do the classic, take everybody out, piss everybody off. That's getting long too early type of a move. But we'll hang out and we'll see what the market has for us today. Yeah, not massively volatile here. Although we do have some volume stepping in right around this level. Back to overnight low. I mean, I may be stuck with a really bad long bias today, but I'm liking this thing long. We're starting to settle down here around 15-minute opening range low. Obviously, this is weak off the open, weak before the open, coming through VWAP. I'm looking at this long for a potential move to the upside, or even just a crack back towards 15-minute opening range high, or back towards this VWAP line. Even if we are going to move lower, again, it's pretty counter to this move, but it is somewhat of a setup here. I'm going to look to take this. That's not really enough risk. I'm long on this, guys. I'm going to go stop loss fairly wide down below prior day low. Looking for a move back up. Actually, I'm not going to go below prior day low. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to structure this as a pretty tight play. I want to see this pop back up towards these highs, back up towards 15-minute opening range high. I'm going to scale in a little bit heavier, get a stop loss. I'm just trying to see if I want to allow for a test of these levels again. Probably not. Probably not. Stop loss right below the lows. $110 worth of risk. Not a whole lot of room. Just a few points. Looking for us finding some support down here around 15-minute opening range low. Excuse me. Want to see some buyers step in, take this thing back towards the opening range high. We're testing NYSE session VWAP right here. Again, I play these a little bit tighter, a little bit closer to the chest than I do with something like NQ, where I'm really structuring a trade for a larger movement to the upside. There we go. Nice little push out of this one. I'm going to go SL to break even. I want to see it break through this like right here, right now, and continue to the upside. Again, just cracking above these highs from this area consolidation, as we started to open up towards 15-minute opening range high. Grab a little bit of profit on it. Yeah, I'd let it come. You got an opportunity to take $100 on this. Made it to about a 1-to-1 from that initial risk. It's something I'd like to see push through this level. If I'm going to choke up on my trade like this, there's a good chance I'm going to get stopped out, like right now where we're starting to turn. But the thesis is this thing is pushing and we're going to break and, potentially go and test VWAP. You could leave risk down here and allow the trade to come back down, retest, and then continue to the upside. But again, on the 1-minute chart, play in with a pretty tight stop loss to begin with, counter to this move, kind of selling off here into the open. I'm going to be cautious. I'm going to go stop loss to break even. And there's a good potential that I get stopped and then it moves in my direction. I'm okay doing that today and saying, I want to preserve capital. Give myself another trade on this, kind of just watch how it plays out. I'm early, 9:55 a.m., jumping in on this. So that's my play today so far. But you might say, hey, 1-to-1 is cool. I'm good with that. I'll grab $100 times 3 accounts, and I'm good with that. I want to see if we can get a little bit more of a push up here. Don't know that I would wait for 15-minute opening range high to break if we get kept in this one, if we stay in this one. But a little bit higher in this area of volume, this area of consolidation, right? If we look at the 9:30 open being right here. But let's see what we get. Not breaking just yet. Consolidating right at NYSE VWAP. You can see it's an interesting level on the chart to pay attention to, kind of a dynamic level. We break above and get above this, it'll look good for the trade. But again, these are nice and zoomed in, right? So a little bit higher frequency, might not be the only one that I get for the day, but I want to be cautious, right? I don't want to leave trades on that start to move in my direction pretty quickly and then immediately right against me. I'm going to preserve capital a little bit more. Again, just the kind of the discretionary thought process. Along with that, this is early, right? This is an early buy from way down here on this, weakness, right? Below VWAP, below prior day session VWAP, that's counter, right? So you have to be, at least in my book, a little bit more defensive on those types of plays, if you're going to take them. That's the thought process. Or you don't have to, but maybe you find in your review that being a little bit more defensive on those types of plays helps out, because maybe they're not as high probability to move in your favor, but they have a nice clean way to structure risk, a nice good opportunity for a positive risk to reward, and you're comfortable taking them. So kind of just like thought process on going stop loss to break even at a certain point. When you see me do it, when you see me not do it. If I'm in a trade that's much higher time frame, I want to give the thing a lot of room to breathe. I think there's a lot that maybe needs to happen before the trade plays out. I'm going to let that thing come back to stop me out, right? I might let it go into profit 1-to-1 and then come all the way back to stop me out, because my data shows that by choking up too much on those, maybe I take a lot of stop outs. So we'll see what we get out of this one. Trades on, risk free. We'll do our thing. Again, tight play. We'll see if we get a crack above this this NYSE session VWAP and some continuation to the upside. What's up, guys? What's up, chat? We are in a trade. If you guys are new, feel free to subscribe. I know I jumped right into it. Really didn't even say what's up too much. I'll read some of these. 100% free community. You guys want to hop in there. Free on Discord. I'm live here free every day. NYSE Open, 9:30 a.m. Happy to have you here. If you're new and you can't chat, subscribe so you can chat next time. I keep subscriber mode on. Try to limit the endless trolls. And yeah, check the link in this below this video. Links below this video. And check out all the fun discounts we got. This thing's turning, not blasting through. Gave me a little bit of profit, but I think we're going to get the stop out. Stop out for break even on this one. Let's see what happens. Do we blast all the way down through these lows? Or is this going to be just a pullback and then a continuation to the upside? Now I get to watch to say, hey, is this good trade management going stop loss to break even? Or did you just choke up too much? We're going to come down, put a higher low in, and then break to the upside. We'll see. We'll watch this one play out. But first trade, stop for break even. Made it to about a 1-to-1 in profit, from the tight stop loss that I had running on this thing. Wanted to see it blast through to the upside. Go and check out VWAP. Go and check out this 15-minute opening range high. Make for more like a 2-to-1 risk to reward on something counter like that. That'd be pretty sweet. But break even, right? We were in the market, able to put risk on, have potential for solid upside, and not have to realize any downside. That's a good position to be in. But you journal your trades afterwards, right? You watch how these play out. You say, hey, look, I got to either, back off being so aggressive with stop loss. If I find that in a large sample size, this thing runs to the upside, I'll do that. If we see it come lower and break below the lows, I say, hey, go and stop loss to break even, or maybe even taking a quicker profit could be a good play. So we'll watch it play out together. You can put stop loss below the low of day VWAP, a couple handles. Yeah, low of day anchored VWAP. If we had something like this, stop loss down below this low of day anchored VWAP. If we were utilizing that, that's an option for sure. Those are the two that I like to utilize: low of day and high of day anchored VWAP. Session or just an important high or low to be trading off of can kind of give you some reference of who's in control, buyers or sellers. There we go. So that would have been a full stop. So in this instance, right, I never say like, oh, wow, look at how smart I am or look at how dumb I am. I I still think we're going to find buyers somewhere down here, but I'm not going to jump into another trade. In this instance, going stop loss to break even. At very best, I protected capital and made $5 across 3 accounts. You know, on today, grabbing profit right here for a quick $100 would have been the smart move. But I find more often than not, on a setup like that, managing it the way that I did plays out best. Today, the one better management would have been grabbing it, but I find that chokes up on a good trade. That takes you out of profit before you're able to really realize some good opportunity. Stop loss to break even today did save me a full stop out, right? We didn't continue higher. We came through that low aggressively, which is a good invalidation point, because we are selling off super, super aggressively. And, you know, looking at this, my long bias really isn't helping me today. On a low time frame, pull back up to NYSE session VWAP, and then some continuation lower. A sell, obviously, with a stop loss right up here, could have paid you, you know, 1.5 to 1, something like that. So, you know, we'll see how long I have to hold on to this bullish bias. But this is now looking, you know, very weak. Again, I still think we're going to find buyers somewhere here and pull back towards VWAP. Again, maybe just carrying an unhealthy bias, but we'll see if we get another setup. We'll see what else starts to set up on here today. But that's where we're at so far. Got about 28 minutes till the initial balance sets. That's a very, very, very strong statistic to work with. Would love to have that for the next trade, but we'll see if we get something in between. Again, low time frame, 1 minute chart, you get more opportunity. It's a little bit, you know, a little bit more action for you guys trading here live with you. But now that we are breaking below overnight low, 15-minute opening range low, and prior day low, I do want to have some discretionary levels on my chart. So yeah, this would be the next level that I'd be looking at, right? Coming off this high right here, really aggressive move to the downside. This low right here, nice aggressive move to the upside. You can see the volume on the volume profile tool, but I don't know if we have to go check that out. Yeah, this may be the down day, man. This may be a Tuesday turn to the downside. I could see that. I don't want to carry, again, I don't really want to carry that strong bias. I try to recognize and talk about it when I'm looking at something like too one-sided. Yeah, looking pretty weak across indices. Dow is yeah, got a new low of the session on this 5-minute candle. Nasdaq's new low of session on this candle. Yes, although we're pulling back up here quite a bit. On Bookmap. Got some orders on Bookmap on ES. Now that I can see that we're kind of through that algorithmic stuff. Sorry guys, I'm just checking checking ES and YM Bookmap. Almost want to try this long again. This is a dangerous play, but I'm tempted to try this long again. Yeah, I could see us potentially finding some buyers here around prior day low. Similar play off a 15-minute opening range low. This is starting to move without me. I could see this setting up. Do I have to put risk on for this one? Again, counter to the day. You know, below VWAPs, below these volume tools that I look at, but really no retest of VWAP yet. Liquidity above, up at the 42s, up above these highs. Looking at these cheap trades today, that's kind of what I'm eyeballing here. But I think I'm going to hold on this one. There's just absolutely short plays setting up that I'm not, I'm just disregarding. Nice break and retest structure on the 1-minute chart to the downside, following along with this trend. So I think I'm going to have to just keep myself patient for a minute on this before I jump right back into one. But I like this long. Again, using some discretion here. Counter to the day, but that's looking good for a long to the upside. Right back towards these 42.25 where we have quite a bit of liquidity sitting. Looking at Bookmap on ES. Back up towards this these VWAPs, area of high volume. But we're selling off here, so I'm looking really counter trend today. That's not always a good thing. See what happens down here. Don't mind me zooming out 37 times when I switch time frames. If you trade with Top Step X, Project X, you know that the VWAP, the volume tools are kind of like all jacked up when you switch time frames, and you have to zoom all the way back out to whatever they're anchored to, kind of reset everything, and then you can see where they're supposed to be. So watching ES sell off here, took it long, one trade, stopped for break even. Would have been a full stop out. Did make it to a 1-to-1. Was holding for a bit of a higher push to the upside, and I'm okay with that trade management. Let's see what we get out of our friend ES here. Yeah, I'm interested to see, like on a higher time frame, do we just test these highs at this area and start to turn and sell off? Do we need a really big correction on 1 or 2 days, or this week to the downside before we potentially make a run? Is everybody just too much of a bull this year? Coming into February and just still looking long? I don't know. But on the low time frames, again, working with this structure, this is weak to be buying off of. We could be throwing a low of day anchored VWAP off of this and saying, hey, as long as we stay above it, buyers are in control, from this low. But we are coming down to break it again, coming down to retest prior day low. Somewhat of an important level. Next line in the sand down here. So I'm going to give this just a little bit more time to breathe. Maybe we get initial balance. First 1 hour opening range. We've got some really nice stats behind that. And we'll kind of see what we get from there. But appreciate you guys hopping on, man. Awesome to see you. I was short-sighted since London open, went back and forth on P&L a lot. Even short-sighted MNQ. It rinsed me. Gotcha. Such BS price action, or maybe just yeah, sometimes tough. Come on, give it to the kid. Yeah. Normally, it takes 3 to 4 times for price to push in one direction. Only then can we expect a reversal or some sort. Otherwise, the first pullback is just that pullback for it to continue. Yeah, oftentimes, right? For me, yes, just within like that general movement and the way that price action and market structure forms, I think all that's correct. I try to pay attention to kind of where we are on the chart as well, from a higher and lower time frame, and what level we might be at, what we're looking at. Are we sitting right at prior day's low after opening up and not opening up, but after pushing above prior day's high quite a bit? Might we find some buyers down here? Why don't you mark the previous day's 50% too? It's actually a good level. Yeah, I might have to take a look at that. Plenty of good levels, man. Plenty of good levels. That could be another solid one for you to look at. Previous days, 50%. I already have a lot. For me, this is a lot on my chart. Like, this is a lot. This is more than I put with NQ, and it just gets to be too much, right? I want to focus on price action and market structure. I think levels are important, like I was talking about. But what gives me a lot in between is the volume profile, right? As I zoom in and out and check different time frames. But yeah, that's something that I could take a look at. Again, I don't think my levels are anything super duper special. They're obvious stuff, some objective, some discretionary. And you might find different levels that are really, really strong for you. You love the way that price respects them. And that's cool. Just all about finding what works best for you. But there's probably 100 other levels that I can mark on this chart that would be pretty good, for somebody. And I'm just going to be cautious of that, of having too much on my chart at one time. Yeah, still liking this long, guys. Even more so now. We pulled to the downside, tested prior day low, started to push back up. This is an okay long setup. Again, I'm trying to keep myself out of just being too long bias. Trying to get the move back to VWAP. But this was it right here. I would have to go with a low down below this low. So, not as good of a risk structure as I'd have over here. Looking for a move back up to this level. At best, I'd really be holding for like a 1-to-1 on something like this. Not terrible, but again, I'm going to hang out. We're getting close to that initial balance setup time. I'm going to hang out, see if we start to get some push to the upside. But so far, clean downtrend structure. Sells on pullbacks, simple break and retest stuff. Staying below this NYSE session VWAP. Back up into 50-minute opening range. Testing a bunch of levels here. So this could be dicey. This could be dicey. It's not as clear. And again, I think what I'm going to have to note today is I'm carrying a gnarly long bias, which for me is helpful because I find myself hitting the sell button too much. I think it's just the way price moves that entices me to hit the sell button. We take the escalator, the elevator down, the staircase up. So actually being a little bit long bias for me personally tends to help me. But I might just be too strong long bias. We had so many of those weeks where we sold off so aggressively on Monday, and then it was recovery. Like any move to the downside was a fake out, buy the dip, and you're making money. And again, I try to be really aware of that stuff. I think that's where a lot of the progress can be made. How are you thinking about your trading? What's your mindset when you're looking at the chart? Try to be really hyper aware of that. Outside of just what your strategy and setup is, like, we all can have that, what's objectively printing, but how are you thinking about it personally? Are you carrying a really gnarly bias for some reason? You paying attention to what some talking heads said on the news, or there's just recency bias, like you watch something play out so many times recently that all of a sudden you're going to do something a little bit different. Like, I'm going to keep buying this even though we're trending to the downside. And then maybe I look back and I go, what the hell were you doing, dude? It was just breaking and retesting. We're below VWAP. We're below every level that you have on your chart. Why are you hitting the buy button? So I try to be aware of that. And again, that's kind of what I got going on right now. And I am aware of it. But this is continually setting up sell plays that I just don't have the conviction to take. And I have to assume that is a little bit of a conflict of bias. But I'm gonna watch what happens here. Again, I'm still watching this thing long, but right here, right now, objectively, this is selling pressure, weakness to the downside, really just putting lower lows and lower highs in on the 1 minute, respecting VWAP and every level that we have on our chart really, really, really cleanly. So this just doesn't call for a buy, and if I'm not ready to take a short, I'm just gonna wait. Going to give myself another 14 minutes. We got initial balance, the first 1 hour of NYSE session. Really, really strong stats behind that. We start to break that to the downside, and it's not going to be a huge range. This could set up for a little bit of a higher time frame play to the downside. So for those reasons, I'm sitting tight, hanging out with you guys. Again, one trade for break even. Kept myself out of a really gnarly long that would not have paid on Dow this morning. So we'll see if we get something else that sets up. Yeah, thank you for answering that question. But anchored VWAP, guys, if you go over here, this is Top Step X, very, very similar to TradingView. If you go over here to forecasting and measurement tools, it's under volume based and it's anchored VWAP right here. What you would do is you would click that, and then it's ready to go whatever time on the chart you want to anchor it to. It doesn't matter if you go high or low, it snaps to the candle. So, but let's say we wanted to anchor to a 950, right? Like we could be above or below, but as long as we're on that 950 candle, we anchor a VWAP right to that 950 candle. And again, it's an anchored volume weighted average price. So I used a couple of them on my chart. Again, sometimes I kind of vary it. Just depends if I want like a low of day anchored VWAP, low of session. But prior day NYSE session, usually in a different spot. They're usually not overlapping. Like this isn't helping me today. And NYSE session anchored VWAP. Again, specifically because I'm zoomed in on the 1 minute, I think a little bit more on my chart can be helpful because you can kind of get lost in the sauce and you just start paying attention to the structure that's forming right in front of you, and you don't really have a reference for where the hell you are on a higher time frame, right? You start to forget, like zoomed out on a 15 minute, here's our session VWAP, we are significantly below that. Or, where are you in relation to prior days, daily candle, that type of stuff. So, and on that note, quick check of the daily, which I think can be helpful. Yeah, we start selling pretty damn obvious level down here, down around all these candle closures before this big push to the upside to come and check out. But I don't know that we do that. Gonna have to wait and see. Reset my chart. Hanging out down here around prior day low. Testing it a second time after breaking above. Taking sells off of NYSE session VWAP or just prior lows, broken in a downtrend would have played really cleanly, right? If you said, hey, we broke these lows, I want to take a sell when we start to pull back up somewhere around here. Same thing, you broke these lows, pull back up right off a 15-minute opening range, overnight low, anchored VWAP, nice selling trades. Could have had structured risk here, but yeah, carrying a long bias. Too much of a bull, man. We'll see what we get down here. Again, now we are, if we fail to get below this low again, we start to come back up. Now we are actually making a case, where a buy could be in store. It's just not so aggressive, me trying to buy off of every push lower. I could see this as, we're just coming down to check out prior day low, sweeping below it. And, we're going to correct to the upside, start to pull back up. I do think this could easily be a nice bullish day. That would be a nice, pretty daily candle. If we flip this long, we start to push the upside. Quite a bit of liquidity right here at 34. That's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see some volatility as we come up into this level. Large stack of orders on ES right here. Appreciate you guys hopping on, man. Awesome to see so many people on. Smash the like button. Smash it. You don't have to do anything, but it helps me out. Subscribe to the channel if you want to chat for next time. And hop in the free Discord, man. 100% free Discord. Boom. talk about a couple other things I got coming up in a little bit, but I'm kind of honed in watching this market right now. Focused up. I don't know what honed in means, but focused up watching the market. That's why I'm not yapping too much about all the other fun stuff. Yeah, NQ kind of consolidating. YM consolidating down around lows. But weak just kind of clicking through on another screen, so I don't have to keep resetting VWAP here. Yeah, nothing on this is gonna allow me to take it long right now. A little bit of a higher low getting put in here, and maybe we try it. It's eventually going to come if I just stare here and look at the chart and say I think it's going to go up, and it keeps going lower, and then eventually it goes up. So that's not really a trade. But a short play, off a retest of this level would have been in store. I don't know that we see it continue. This would have been a little bit aggressive for me to take, right? I was looking long off of the 15-minute opening range low. This would have been a play to the downside if I wasn't so damn long bias. But so far, we're not really playing out too nicely on that. We didn't come down and, continue really moving below yesterday's low. We swept it, and now we're back up inside, pulling back a little bit. I'm going to see what happens around this level. Do we really start selling off and continuing lower? Or do we actually find some buyers here and start to pull back up? So staying patient down here is my game plan right now. Are you also using the session VWAP? Yes. So I got three things, three VWAPs on this chart right now. This white one is just the standard session VWAP. Here, let's do a little chart review, right? So you guys can know exactly what I'm looking at here, because it's a little bit more messy than it usually is today. There's technically three volume-based indicators, volume tools on my chart. Session VWAP, these are all going to be under the indicators tab. Session VWAP, volume profile, visible range, and traditional volume down here. These two are standard settings, just with the colors changed. This one, the only thing that I have is just the way that it displays settings changed. If you want to play with that, I'll throw it in. I'll throw it in Discord. Hop in Discord, ask me, and I'll screenshot all the settings and send it to you. Along with that, the other two VWAPs that I have on my chart are NYSE session anchored VWAP, meaning I'm anchoring a VWAP from the drawing tools over here to 9:30 a.m. open today. This one is from 9:30 open prior day, right here. A little bit faster moving, a little bit slower moving, right? More volume, more data, less data. Levels on my chart, prior day high and low coming right off the daily candle, the top wick and the bottom wick. Overnight high and low, what did we do? Some guys call it pre-market, some call it, Asia and London. What is the high and low put in between session changeover and the open at 9:30? I'm calling it overnight high and low. Maybe that's a discretionary level because it's not completely objective based on the way that you're defining what overnight is. And 15-minute opening range, high and low. The first 15 minutes from 9:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Those three are, to me, objective, right? Definitely 15-minute opening range and prior day high and low. And I can give you clear instructions on how to find what I call overnight high and low, which would make it objective, meaning it's not my opinion. It's your prior day high and low on MES on this contract should be the exact same as mine. Past that, I got one discretionary zone on my chart today. That's it. A support resistance, supply demand, area of interest, whatever you want to call this. Discretionary meaning there's not a clear way to define how I'm going to mark that. It depends on what the chart looks like and my subjective interpretation of that market structure. But that's the full chart. This is a little bit busy, like I said, but when I am zoomed in, right, when I'm really zoomed in on the 1 minute, just resetting everything, when I'm down here like this, it can be a little bit difficult because I'm only looking at 30 minutes to an hour of data sometimes. more than 30 minutes, but maybe it's an hour or two of candlesticks, and that's not a lot of information. You can kind of get lost in the sauce. So having a little bit more markup on my chart can help, so long as it really doesn't start to overlap price action and market structure, which to me is the most important thing that I want to pay attention to. And then outside of that, Bookmap is on the side. I got the crazy order flow tool, Bookmap hanging out. That's it. Again, I'm about to mark up initial balance. On a day like today, I could really take this anchored VWAP off. It's not helping at all. It's just completely overlapping. But since we talked about it, I'm going to leave it on there. And I'm going to leave this one on there. Again, really common setup. Very similar to Austin Silver and ASFX's group. And a lot of what you see for guys that trade ES, right? The VWAP stuff is very popular. These opening ranges, these prior day highs and lows, these levels are not super special. These are just the very common stuff, guys. I don't claim that any of these are mine, anything, so special. Obvious stuff, right? Really, really obvious stuff that probably everybody is paying attention to, I think can be helpful to have marked on your chart. And just areas that you find price reacts in a certain way that maybe allow you to structure risk or take trades to or from, right? You might say, no, Zach, all those levels suck. I like Asia high and low, London high and low, the 30-minute opening range and the 5-minute opening range, and I like a weekly VWAP and a session VWAP with different settings. And I think, cool, like you could probably do super well with all that stuff that I just listed. If you back test and forward test and trade with it and you build confidence in it. I think you can probably do really well with all of those. Just find what works for you. There's no one size fits all. But this is what I like to use specifically on ES. A lot of overlap for NQ and YM, but I kind of custom tailor it based on what time frame I'm on, what I'm looking at, and what I find helpful. And I vary it ever so slightly by the day and by what I'm seeing. Like maybe we're just chopping in a range, and I don't need 47 anchored VWAPs to tell me that we're just chopping in a range, right? We just get rid of all of them, or maybe like all of the levels on my chart are overlapping and it's just too hard to pay attention to. We know there's an important level because we got 3 of them right at the same spot. You can kind of like take some of that crap off. Maybe we're really stretched out, super stretched out. We're extended to the upside and I'm like, dude, I got like nothing below price. I'm going to try to find something to add in there to just pay attention to that gives me a little bit more frame of reference, right? Not that it's some magical number or level. So that's the way that I look at levels, areas of interest. So coming up on 10:30 a.m., we are getting the initial balance high and low. That's going to be the low right here. Let's mark it up. Try to use something a little bit different color on here. Let's go. That's crazy colored. That's ugly. Yeah, let's go with like another shade of blue. That'll be soothing to the eyes. That's going to be our IB low. The first 1 hour of NYSE session. What is the high and low that's put in? And we got our 9:30 open right here, which is going to overlap the 15-minute opening range high. I'm going to do a lot of markup today. Give you guys a whole bunch of choices of levels. You can pick what you want. Strong statistics around this one. There's stats around almost all of these levels actually that I use. Prior days high and low, the opening range, 15-minute opening range. But there's strong statistics around IB, high and low. If and when we break one side, we typically do not come back to break the other side by a strong statistic. So in this case, if we come down here and break initial balance low, more often than not, over 3/4 of the time, I'm not going to pull up the stats right now, we do not come back up to break this high. Does that mean just sell below IB low? No, right? You're going to use price action, market structure, all your other tools. But it's good to have some objective statistics behind these. Along with that, if and when we break one side, not only do we not come back to break the other side, more often than not, we typically extend by a decent amount. There's a statistic to the upside and downside on NQ, on ES, that we typically extend. We typically don't just sweep it. Along with that, before it breaks, you typically know based on the stats, what side traditionally breaks first. On a day like today, where we formed the IB low second, we put the IB high in first and the IB low in second, we are more likely by a strong statistic to come back down and break this level. Do we not break either level sometimes? Do we break both levels sometimes? Absolutely. And that might happen on back-to-back days. Just because there is a strong statistic doesn't mean that that weak point might not occur right here, right now, as I'm talking about it and looking to trade it. This is the stuff that you find in backtesting, but if you want to get objective stats, there's companies out there that do that for you. Edgeful being the one that I'm referencing. So, still looking weak. Not continuing this clean break and retest structure, not continuing down through this low here that we put in, the IB low. Really just dancing around at prior day's low. Failing to move lower so far. Going to wait to see what we get here. Yeah, no pressure, Leroy. Anything that happened on Bookmap that indicated the huge fall that happened? We're talking about this one. Talking about this sell-off right here. Mr. Wolf, let me know if we're talking about this. And I'll take a look on ES. No, there was really nothing showing on ES Bookmap around that time. And I don't have NQ loaded up right now. If I don't break Bookmap, I can load it up. But on Dow we had some serious orders. We had some serious orders at the 600 level, and then some serious orders at the 550. So that looks like it added fuel to the fire to the downside. ES right here, right now. We had liquidity come on and off the book. This is looking a little bit sketchy. I don't know about this. We got orders that are getting put on the book and then pulled above price. It's looking legit, and they're coming off the book. So just watching price dance around prior day low. Maybe we get a crack below this level and we really start to sell off. Can't get a long play on this right here, right now. Stuck with a long bias today. Shorts from up here definitely would have been okay. You know, stop loss above a level of structure, above VWAP, even maybe really wide for a breakdown below. And, you know, go check out these, this Friday low. These lows from Friday. I don't know what Friday's actual low was. This is discretionary level. Let's go long America. Yeah, I know. I'm stuck long America. Ryan sold what I thought was the low per my strategy rules, which had me nervous. But man, had no drawdown, caught my 100 points. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Stick to your guns, man. That's it. Whatever your approach is, stick to that. How can you set volume profile visible range? In the indicators settings, it's going to be, is it volume profile visible range? If you type VPVR, it will pull up volume profile visible range. That's what I have on the right side of my chart. And then you can adjust settings to have more of these individual bars show. You can adjust settings to have how far it comes off into your screen. I'll share some of those settings. I don't want to start doing it now. I'll share some of those settings in Discord. If you hop in the Discord, you feel free to ask me about that. No pressure, man. No pressure. Well, we're hanging out watching the market move, man. Let's go around. Let's go around the markets. Put that back to 1. Dow finally made its move back to VWAP. That would have been very ugly off of this zone. This would not have been a good risk to reward structure at all. But sold off, found some support down here, and we did climb back up. NASDAQ looking weak. Yeah, looking really weak. Not really finding buyers anywhere here. We are definitely at what I would look at as a level. Coming off this area right here, right? Area of high volume. If we zoom out a lot, but this would be somewhat of a discretionary level for me. You know, maybe even down here, you know, start of this impulsive move to the upside. Could definitely find some buyers down here, but this is looking weak overall. Very weak. Kind of just slowly moving to the downside. Back and forth moving to the downside. Yeah, we're definitely kind of bottoming here on ES. This feels like we want to push to the upside, come back to this area of high volume. Not a great way to structure, excuse me, a great way to structure risk. Taking it down here as we're just in line with this trend to the downside, not a good play for me. Taking it up here, again, just not really a great way to structure risk, right? I would want to put on like, 9 points to the downside. And what I'm going to target, the 140s, 141 down around VWAP, because I think if we get up there, we're likely to see some sellers step back in. So just not a good risk structure, but this looks like we finally want to try to crack to the upside. But we'll just see if it's another beautiful selling opportunity, and I'm looking the wrong way all day. We'll have to see. Kind of choppy down here, back and forth. Again, not really providing a clear direction. Weak on the day, on the session so far. Stay impatient to see if we start to get another setup. If we come higher and then blast lower again, I'm going to have to look short on this at some point. Got you guys, no problem. Appreciate you being on here, man. Hanging out with me, trading live. You guys get it all for free, right? Strategy, approach, risk management, live executions. You could watch me take wins, take losses, break evens, all that fun stuff. I don't claim to be the best trader in the world or to know it all. Far from all of that. But I'll hop on here live with you guys, show you how and what I do, and maybe that's valuable for you, right? Maybe you say, that dude sucks, and I don't want to do what he does. I hate his chart, and I hate the way that he trades. And I'm going to do the opposite. Cool, man. That's value for you. No, we'll be on here every day trading live with you guys. Man, retest of overnight low. Near overnight low, 50-minute opening range low, and session. I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I can't hit the short button on this thing today. I'm going to watch to see. We start to sell off really aggressively. At a certain point, I'm going to have to take a short. I would consider a short up near those 6140s, right around that VWAP level and prior day session VWAP level. Stop above the 15-minute opening range high and initial balance high. Like if we cracked up there and then started to show some selling pressure, that's something that I would look at. But I'm not in anything right now. Not in the position to take it just yet. I could still see this being the sweep below, prior day's low and a bullish day, and it's carrying over to me on this 1 minute time frame here. So anyway, guys, be right back. Take a quick break. Back in action with you guys. Back up to test this. Back up to test this session VWAP again. Just looking at this long from this area, but not a good way to structure risk. Not a good way to structure risk. Let's get the poll run and see what you guys think. Long America or short it to the ground? Always fun to get your guys' opinion. Why did that not work? There we go. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. You think we're going to push long today? You think we're going to actually start to bottom out here and pop to the upside? Or are we, in fact, just going to keep retesting these levels and selling back off? This is a short play right here, right now for continuation to the downside that just a lot of consolidation now down around these lows. But this sell-off of NYSE session-anchored VWAP would be paying all day. Really failing to come higher back into this zone. And we come back lower, break this IB low. That could certainly be a case for a move lower. So I'm staying patient, waiting to see, trying to stay flexible here. Waiting to see if we do, in fact, look like we want to move lower on this thing. Short it. Sean says short it. Short it to the ground, 100%. Dang, you guys are a bunch of bears in here. That's heavy one-sided, huh? I feel you. I feel you. It looks weak, right? Like, overall, this is looking weak. NQ coming back down to test the lows. YM kind of hanging out where it is after pulling back up. Yeah, NQ looking very weak. Almost all of the Mag 7 red. ES doing the same thing, really turning and burning back down to the downside here. There's a short play, right? There's a short play just right above now this overnight low where we say, hey, if we come back up here, I think we are going to, in fact, move higher. But we're rejecting this, harshly multiple times. This is making a case lower. Can give me a way to at least get a one-to-one, breaking IB low to the downside. If we break, we typically do extend to the downside. That's a play right here. %, to the downside. Lock myself out. Didn't want any more temptation. Gotcha. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. No 10 a.m. reversal. So thinking it could be a down day. Gotcha. Awesome. Appreciate you guys being here for sure. Yeah, again, I'm watching this start to consolidate down here. I was waiting for a push back up. We didn't harshly reject any of these levels and really find buyers that were going to just blast us back higher. It's kind of this slower moving, even on the 1 minute here on ES, slower moving price action. It's getting to be more and more indecisive, where I could see it easily going either way, where we could pop right back up to VWAP, go check out those 40s again, and then, you know, figure out whatever the heck we want to do. Or, you know, a sell-off down past that IB low, the 27.5 level, and then a continuation, you know, down towards the low 20s in ES. I could see either one of those forming, so I'm just not going to take a trade here. If I can make a pretty easy case either way, that tells me it's probably best to just wait patiently. You know, more structure, more price action, miss whatever the move that's about to happen is, because you don't have a good indication of what's going to happen, and a great way to structure risk. Essentially, I'd be trading from the middle of this, you know, this area of consolidation that I'm looking at. This, anticipating, you know, a push up and a break above with a stop loss down below, or a continuation lower with a stop loss above. You know, that's how I'm starting to view this. Objectively, down on the session, right? You know, looking weak. But as we came down here, we failed to get below this low here, right? Failed to get below, retesting this level, not breaking above this high, So sellers still keeping it lower, keeping us below this NYSE session VWAP, below some levels, but starting to chop around here. So that was some aggressive selling pressure that stepped right in, right? We saw some quick momentum to the downside, saw some volume, but here we are continuing to the upside. A gun to my head, I don't think this comes lower right now. I think we at least come back up here, but I don't have a gun to my head. I'm thankfully hanging out in my house. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait for this to break IB low and then give me some structure, or continue the upside, watch what happens around VWAP, and see if this is just gonna start to trend to the upside on the day. But from down here, just not clean, not clean continuation to the downside, not a really harsh rejection on any of this to the upside. So I'm not going to take anything. Yeah, and on that note, guys, I don't see another setup coming right now. On that note, about an hour and a half in, I'll wrap it up right here. One trade for break even, not a whole lot more opportunity for me to capitalize on, right? Just a lot of back and forth movement. That probably would have me sitting in a trade, you know, a little painfully. Maybe a stop out. Maybe a short play back down towards one of these levels would have worked really nicely if I was very aggressive. But I was looking the other way, looking long on this. You know, we'll see how that carries towards the end of the day if we do start to push lower. But feel free, hop in the free Discord. I'll try to call out anything that I'm looking at or paying attention to. I'm trying to get better about that. Subscribe so you can be here tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, every day, live, free on YouTube. More than happy to have you here with me in the free community. And yeah, check out all the links below, all the awesome companies that got discounts. I'm going to be in Tampa for a 2-day seminar with ASFX and a whole bunch of other awesome traders. Guys from TradeZella, guys from Top 1. Going to be sick, in-person event, 2 days. Hop in the Discord, hit me up anywhere on socials. I'll send you the info for that. Going to be awesome. They're down to like 10 tickets. Yeah, I'll leave it with that. We'll do some teasers and stuff for that tomorrow. And again, I've been blasting you guys in Discord with that, so I won't hammer you too much here. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Trade well. See you in Discord.